19 Board of Works meeting. Our first agenda will be Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Sure. Mayor Gentry is absent this evening. Jane Taylor.
Present.
Bill Stoner.
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Dick Robertson is absent also. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same side. Minutes are approved. Now we'll move to department head reports. First up would be the police department. Brad?
Good evening. During the period between June 25th and today's date, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 722 calls for service. A total of 21 people were arrested for the following crimes. 6 were wanted on warrants, 2 for operating while intoxicated, 2 for domestic battery, 3 for driving while suspended, 2 for possession of methamphetamines, 2 for possession of marijuana, 1 in dealing in marijuana, 1 for battery, 1 for identity deception, and 1 for resisting law enforcement. A total of 5 handgun permits were issued by our office. On June 24th through the 28th, Captain Warmoth and myself attended the National Association of Resource Officers annual conference in Tennessee. On June 27th through the 28th, Administrative Assistant Ruthie Armez attended the National Incident-Based Reporting System Conference in French Lick. On June 29th, the Lebanon Police Department again hosted a ladies-only handgun class taught by Guardian Firearms Academy with Officer Jason Morgan assisting. If you're interested in that class, you check our Facebook. We will have more classes coming up in August, and just keep an eye on our Facebook page. July 1st, Officer Carlson attended a state unarmed aerial conference hosted by the Fort Wayne Police. This is for our drone unit. He is interested in becoming a drone operator, and this will help him go for that, and also updates on legal aspects for law enforcement. July 1st and the 2nd, the Lebanon Police Department had firearms training and a department competition. For the second year in a row, Clark Fletcher was the winner. And then last to report is we only had a couple of minor incidents in the park during the week of the 4th. Our bike patrol was out every night working the events. We would like to thank the following departments: the Lebanon Parks Department, the Lebanon Street Department, the Lebanon Fire Department, Boone County EMA, Boone County Dispatch, Reserve Deputies, and Boone County 4th of July Committee. Nothing else to report.
How'd the new bikes work out?
Wonderful.
Great.
They're electric assisted, so when you're
I noticed
pedaling,
that.
it helps you get around town a
You
lot
were
quicker.
really moving down the
Yes, it
Meridian
really
Street.
helped me. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay, next up is the fire department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 126 emergency calls of service, logged 228 training hours, performed 10 commercial inspections, one of those being for the carnival rides. We installed 2 car seats and participated in 1 public education event. Our new CPR program is up and running, and we have several new instructors. I'd like to thank firefighter Jared Orem for being our new lead instructor. We have a media release that we're getting ready to put out later on this week, and we're really happy how that program is moving forward. Tomorrow starts Camp 911. We've detailed Lieutenant Mark Brown to be a camp counselor. This is a 3-day event, and we'll be assisting those 3 days with different activities with the kids. It's always a fun time, and we're really looking forward to it. Last but not least, I want to congratulate the LFD team for winning the adult Almost Anything Goes. We had a great time with that contest again, and it's always nice to be a part of the 4th of July activities. And 2 weeks ago, I was not available for the swearing in for Matt Young and Jason Adams. I just wanted to take a moment and address the public about those two individuals. I can't say enough about them as individuals, as firefighters, both on duty and off duty. They are what's good about the fire service, and we could not be happier with their promotion and what they're doing for this city and the department. That's it.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, next up is Parks Department. John?
Good evening. 4th of July events were all well attended, and thanks to all the departments for helping out. I think it puts a strain on the whole city. Everybody helps out, and we can't thank everybody enough. And the many volunteers make it all happen, 4th of July committee, Symphony at Sunset, et cetera, et cetera. But many volunteers, and thank you all for all your help. We had some good weather for a change. Didn't rain all the time, so that was great. The dog park at Abner Longley is open. It's running very well. We had over 30 dogs register already, so I think there was 2 more as I was leaving at 4:30 today, so it's getting well received. The splash pad's been very popular, along with the water park. This weather has a lot to do with it, obviously, but packed all the time. It's running very well also, doing real well with, the weather, of course, is bringing everybody out. The next couple of weeks, we will be working on the trail. There again, the Big 4 trail from Lebanon all the way to Thorntown, cutting back the brush, cutting some trees, just preventive maintenance, and also trying to clear it out a little bit. It's getting kind of tight in there with all the growth we've had from the spring, so we're going to take it back, and then we'll attack the Conservation Club and try and clean it up, all the banks. We had about 3 weeks earlier in the year, and we hope to address it after we get the Big 4 trail cleaned up. Current program's running, July swim lessons. They started this morning, a bunch of smiley faces. That's always good to have that. They'll be going for the next 2 weeks. We have them this evening now and here in a little bit also. They're all full. Poolside Pilates with YMCA at 7 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Soccer shots at Abner Longley Park, Thursday evenings for 8 weeks. That's for the real little kids, and I think they have about 10 or 12, and it's really fun to watch them run around. Their attention span's about 10 minutes, I think, but they kick the ball and having fun. That's what it's all about. Lap swim Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings at 5:30 at the high school. Register there again at the park office. Youth football sign-ups going on until 7/13. They're joining the Sagamore Conference this year. Hopefully that'll be well received, finally joining in with the rest of the conference and be traveling, have a lot of different communities in here, a lot of different cities anyway. Upcoming programs, the Mother-Son Superhero event, the 2nd annual, Saturday 8/17 from 5 to 8 p.m. There again, also sand volleyball tournament in September, along with Merchants League is going on, and we have co-ed softball also. That's all I had.
Someone asked me about, could you give us the hours of the splash pad again?
Yeah, the hours of the splash pad are 10 a.m. until 8 p.m.
Okay,
and that's
thank you.
7 days a week. If there's bad weather, we will shut it down just like the others. The Seashore Water Park, if there's any thunder, you have to stay off for 30 minutes. We will go down and shut it down.
Okay.
Thank you.
John. Any questions from the board?
Thanks, John.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next up's the engineering department. Kevin?
Good evening, board members. Engineering update for this week. Let's start off looking at the downtown projects, or I guess more appropriately now, the West Main Street projects. Still a lot of work moving on there. As you've probably noticed, since we last met, we have opened Phase 5. We've opened the area between West Street and Lafayette Avenue. So that included completing the sod, completing the striping. We have temporary signage up along that area, the final lighting, the final signage, and the trees. Those are all long lead time issues, and those will not be installed till later in the fall. And trees really isn't a lead time issue, it's just what's appropriate to be successful with the tree plantings and the survival rate on those. But moving forward, Phase 6, or the area west of Lafayette Avenue, as I refer to it, water mains are all complete in that section. The storm sewer is all complete. Last week, before the holiday, we did the subgrade cement stabilization. And then that had to sit there and cook and cure for about 72 hours, so that worked out well with the holiday schedule. You really didn't see any construction in that area Friday or Saturday through the weekend. So I know the guys appreciated that time off. Moving forward, really the only thing that's left in terms of infrastructure, we've got water mains and storm sewer mains that have to go up Patterson Street. We've had a bit of a delay there, but we should see that take off again this week. We had a delay there for some contaminated soils that we found along Patterson Street related to some petroleum industries that used to exist on either side of the road there. So, but I believe we've got all the necessary permits and approvals and coordinated all the proper dumping of that material as it becomes excavated and dewatered. So that work should progress this week. That includes special gaskets that we had to order to make sure the water pipe stays intact and we can ensure the integrity of that system. So really that's what's left to do over there in terms of the underground infrastructure. Right now on Phase 6, we're also doing the subsurface drainage tiles, putting those in to drain the subgrade of the street. And that'll last most of this week, and then we'll be gearing up for next week. We're scheduled to put down our first layer of asphalt. There's a layer of asphalt that goes below the curbs, and then so on and so forth. And we're nearing towards, we're still on schedule. Actually, we're ahead of schedule for a late September completion date on that phase. Other work on the downtown contracts, the signal work at the intersection of State Road 32 and Meridian is scheduled to move forward at this point now. All of our permit hurdles have been cleared, and we're just waiting on that subcontractor to be there. So watch for that. As we know definitive schedules, we will post that. We will get that information out via the social media aspects. There will be no road closures there, but there will be we will be deterring some traffic. Just as we go through that intersection, we'll be sliding traffic over, closing lanes. There'll be some flaggers. There'll be some people working in the street. So be aware of that. But again, as soon as we know a definitive schedule on that, we will put that out to the public. Keep in mind, later this summer, we are still planning to replace the sidewalks on the west side of State Road 39 between Main and Meridian. Those plans and permit applications are at NDOT right now being considered, and we hope they process that quickly and we can get that going here, put that into the schedule with Phase 6 as that moves forward. Again, remind everyone to continue to support those downtown businesses, continue to support those businesses on West Main Street. Look for the updates that the Heart of Lebanon is providing on their Facebook page. Look for the updates from the contractors. We thank you all for your patience as we wrap up that project. Looking to other areas around the city, a couple things going on. The Northern Interchange. Not a whole lot of movement there, but just want to remind everyone that our build grant application is scheduled to be submitted this week. And that basically is all being uploaded as we speak, and we're just going to hit submit here probably in the next couple of days. We're waiting on a couple more support letters from local agencies, from NDOT, before we finalize that application. I know I've said in these previous reports that the infra grant, we expected that award in June. Obviously, it's July, and we've not announced that. I checked the Federal Highway website again today. There's been no announcements put forth there, so I'm not for sure what the delay is. They typically award those sometime in June every year, but we'll keep you posted on that if there is a grant award that we see there. But moving on to more other local projects, our pavement resurfacing program is scheduled to get moving here. We're trying to schedule pre-construction meetings, with that contractor to look at the patching, the resurfacing projects that we've got scheduled, as well as some other seal coating and repair work that we're doing. Keep in mind, the full resurfacing program is on Lakeshore Drive from State Road 39 to Lakeview. It is South Meridian Street from Maine all the way south to Thompson. It's Shorewood Drive from 250 North to Prestwick Court, and it's East Street from Noble Street to Birchwood. So we're going to get started on that here real shortly. Sidewalk program is also in full swing. We've already completed the first project, which is sidewalks along the north side of Williams Street, adjacent to Central Elementary. The next project would be new curbs along Grant Street, over there between the middle school and the school administration center. We'll look for that later this month, prior to school start. I assure you we'll get that in before school gets back into session. And then we are also looking at ways to fund the Meridian Street sidewalks between Main and 32. That was not a project that was included with the downtown project. It was something that we bid as a separate project earlier this year. The bids came in pretty high. We're currently working with the downtown contractor. We've got contingency money left, and we think we can possibly afford to put that project into the downtown project and save significant money over what the bid prices that we saw earlier in the year. Moving on to other things, let's talk a bit about Indianapolis Avenue. Remind everyone, Phase 1 is from Spencer Avenue south to Noble Street. Phase 2 would be the southbound lanes from Hendricks up to Noble, and then Phase 3 is the northbound lanes from Hendricks to Noble. Remind everyone, construction was supposed to start on Phase 1 that first week of May. We had significant delays outside the city's control with utility relocations, both Lebanon Utilities electric and water mains, as well as other private utility companies like Comcast, AT&T. We all had delays there. We still have delays as we speak with Vectren on getting some services relocated. So we continue to struggle with utility relocations on that project, and it is holding things up. We've also, as you remember, up until this point, we've had substantial rain events that have further delayed the project, but we are moving forward. As you might have noticed, on July 5th, the guys were hard at work out there pouring curbs. So on that Phase 1 area north of Noble Street, all the storm sewers are in. Soil stabilization is complete. The stone base work was all done. Subsurface drains are in. We started curbs on the 5th, and they're scheduled to be completed this week. And then we move immediately into the sidewalks, lighting bases, lighting conduits, asphalt. All that work is scheduled to be completed before the end of July. But we've got a lot of work still left to do there. Just remind everyone that Phase 1 is just from Noble Street north. That's a full closure at this point. As soon as we open that, we will look to partially close the area from Noble down to Hendricks. You'll be able to drive north on Indianapolis Avenue, but not south. And so then we'll build that section of road in 2 phases. Northbound lanes and then the southbound lanes, then the northbound lanes as we move forward. We are still scheduled to wrap up that project in late December. We are obviously looking at with that late of a finish date, we'll be doing finish work in the spring of next year. But I would also say that we are working with the state. We are working with the contractor to try to find ways to expedite that schedule and make sure that we do not have to winter through a partial road closure.
Right.
We really want to make sure that doesn't happen. We all felt the pain of doing that on East Street a couple of years ago, and we want to do everything we can. With all that being said, keep in mind, I said the word the state of Indiana there, This is a federally funded project that is controlled by the state of Indiana. It is not like the downtown project. We don't hold the contracts with the contractor. We don't hold the contracts with the inspection firms. We just hold a contract with the state of Indiana so that we can pay our fair share of that. But this is a state-ran and led project, and some of that means that we lose some of the control like we had with scheduling and some of the coordination we had in our downtown project. So when people ask, why does this look different? Why does it move different than the downtown project? Because there's federal and state money involved. Grant Street, happy to report that we did receive additional federal funding for utility relocations and right-of-way acquisition. So that'll just be a work that the federal government and the state of Indiana are going to pay for that will not come out of the city funds. So these are good things. Again, that's a 2023 or 24 project, so it's a ways out. And this is the speed at which those types of programs move. We are working with Boone County. We are also working with the state to pull out the William Street improvements and construct those next year. We're looking to bundle that project with the local project that Boone County is going to do with the resurfacing of the bridge over Prairie Creek on Williams. And the goal there would be we eliminate the construction schedule on that, extending into multiple seasons. We would do the road reconstruction of the bridge to Grant Street along with the bridge reconstruction. That would all be done in the summer of 2020 and would be back open before school starts. And so that project will no longer be included with the Grant Street project. So look for continued updates there. Gateway Marketplace, happy to report things are moving forward there. They've had just an awful spring there with trying to move dirt and all this rain. But the road now is really to subgrade at this point. They're just tweaking some subgrade preparation. They're doing subsurface underdrain installations this week. Stone is scheduled to start going down late this week and into next week, and then curbs and asphalt will follow right behind that. No further updates on that project. So with that, that's all I have.
Okay. Well, sounds like there's still a lot going on. Would ask that, you keep us updated on the Indianapolis Avenue. There's a lot of questions from a lot of people when that's going to be open.
Yeah,
So-
understood.
We'll try to stay on top of that. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Next up is Planning Department. Ben?
Evening, board members. Planning Department report for this evening. We did complete an additional 65 building inspections over the last couple of weeks. So again, we're still running over six inspections a day, which is a very full day. We did issue 27 additional building permits in the last couple of weeks, and just of note there that there were 3 additional new home starts as part of those permits. So we're definitely still seeing quite a bit of demand for new housing in Lebanon that's being fulfilled with some of the projects we got going on. On the code enforcement side, can continue chugging along with what we typically are working on this time of year, including trash and debris and grass and weeds, and then all of the vehicles and parking, things like that we're dealing with. So those continue to remain very active. I know Kevin mentioned the infrastructure side of Lebanon Gateway Marketplace. On the building side, the Plan Commission will be reviewing development plan next Monday night for a multi-tenant retail building that's going in one of the outlots, and that building is going to be anchored by a Moe's Southwest Grill. So that project will be coming here pretty quick. It should get its approvals next week at the Plan Commission. I believe they intend to start construction within a few weeks after that, certainly depending on the infrastructure schedule. So that's moving forward, and that's great news. The comprehensive plan is a little bit delayed right now, and part of that's on internally as we're reviewing some of the documents they're sending us, but that does continue to move forward. We do expect them, at this point, likely to be at the Plan Commission for a presentation at their August meeting, and then moving forward with adoption thereafter. So that's all I have.
Okay. Great. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thanks, Ben. Next up is Street Department. David?
How's everyone tonight? See, the street department's had been out patching potholes still. I don't think that's going to end, but The brush and chipper truck's been out, very busy. I think we took out probably 15 loads just last week. Everybody getting ready for the 4th, I'm sure. Stormwater crew's been busy repairing and cleaning storm structures and pipes. We've got a few big projects ahead of us next couple weeks on that crew. So our street sweeper's out in the shop getting repairs done. We should have it back this week, so we should be ready to roll on it again. We continue marking curbs around the fire hydrants around town. Probably won't finish that this summer, but we're going to stick with it. We've received 104 calls at the street department since our last Board of Works meeting. 2 of those were for dead animals, 4 for drains, 5 were for curbs and concrete. 18 were non-related to us to begin with. 8 for potholes, 12 for trash and recycling, and 54 of those were for brush. 1 was for just to thank us for all the hard work, and that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, Dave. Next up is communication and community development.
As you can probably tell, I am not Joe LePage, but Joe was unavoidably detained with a family commitment and asked me to read his report. So communications report for July 8th. The Tigers, artist Claire Houghton has passed along 6 potential concepts to the mayor's office. Joe reports that they all look great, and the mayor and him are working on picking the design for the first tiger that will be displayed in the municipal building, in this building downstairs. Obviously, other departments will follow. I know police and fire, as well as the street department, are working with their artists that they've been paired with to try to develop these concepts, and we're excited to see those hit the street. Joe wanted me to remind everyone that there's some new videos up. All these videos can be found on the city's Facebook page, the public access channel, as well as the city's YouTube channel. But look for new videos for the ribbon cutting at the dog park. Look for and the splash pad ribbon cutting as well. Also, Joe would like me to remind you that the new episode of the Lovin' Lebanon podcast featuring Ben Bontrager of the Planning Department is up now. Ben talks about city standards and gives you a preview of some exciting new developments around Lebanon. So just remind everyone to go to lebanon.in.gov, click on quality of life to access those episodes, both past and present and in the future. And as always, if you have an idea for a podcast that you'd like to see, if you'd like us to dive into more information, please email Joe at lovinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov. No G, Lovin' Lebanon. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, that concludes our department heads. Now we move on to old business. And we have for old business a bid selection for Memorial Park restroom facility. Kevin, is that you again?
I believe so. Okay. I sent out bid tabulation that's been certified. I'll pass out copies here for everyone, make sure you have it.
All right.
Got it. So this is a certified bid tabulation by Gary Ladd, professional engineer on the project. As you can see there, we received 3 bids from Monroe Construction Group, LLC, 3D Professional Contracting Incorporated, and MatCon General Contractors Incorporated. All bids were deemed to be responsive and responsible, and as of right now, the low bidder is Monroe Construction with a lump sum base bid amount of $327,178. There are bid alternates that were also attached to that. Bid alternate number 1 for the addition to the Park Department maintenance building, is $191,631. And then we had some alternates that were basically to strip out some of the more decorative elements of the restroom building, decorative elements, or some of the more desirable elements. So these are bid alternate number 1 to remove the in-slab floor heating in favor of HVAC forced air system. That was only $1,056 credit. After discussing that, there's just a lot of value in having that in-floor heating system that is virtually indestructible, virtually vandalism-proof, versus having forced air registers and things like that that could be damaged. So it's not worth the credit, in our opinion, to move forward with that. And I say our, I'm talking about the designer, Gary Ladd, I'm talking about myself and John Messenger of the Parks Department that have reviewed this, as well as the firm that will be doing construction, inspection, and owner's rep services on the project for us. The third alternate number 3, was to remove the standing seam metal roof in lieu of a shingle roof, $2,645 credit. John and his staff have been doing a great job the last few years in trying to develop consistency among the park buildings, and one of those things is the standing seam metal roofs that they've been installing on shelter buildings, on other restroom buildings. So for a $2,600 credit on a $300,000 job, it's not a significant enough savings, and we'd like to stick with that. There is a cupola that was proposed on top of the restroom building, and there's only a $400 credit to eliminate that cupola. So we'd like to keep the cupola. Bid alternate number 5 is eliminating some wall insulation within the maintenance building. So if we were to take bid alternate number 1 of $191,631, then there's the question of, do we want to add, or do we want to reduce that cost by $11,941 and eliminate insulation? Bid alternate number 6 is the grading of a stone maintenance area, parking lot area that the Parks Department crew uses to take that lot and turn it into an asphalt parking lot is a bid alternate number 6 for $96,830. And then the last one was bid alternate number 7, was if the Parks Department were to tear down the old building themselves as opposed to having the contractor do it, what would be the savings? Well, there's only $1,000 worth of savings there, so on a $300,000 job, doesn't seem like it's worth it. So at this point, what we are recommending is that you, subject to legal review and the mayor's execution, issue a notice of award on the lump sum base bid of $327,178 to Monroe Construction, and we would like to table for future consideration on the maintenance building addition as well as the parking lot addition for future consideration. One other caveat to that notice of award, that would also be subject to appropriations from City Council, that they will consider at a later meeting. Did I cover all that, Rob, as we discussed? Okay. Any questions?
So we're looking at the lump sum of $327,178 for Monroe Construction, right?
Yes. Well, maybe I said it incorrectly. As we discussed, Rob, and correct me if I'm remembering it wrong, we want to award base bid for $327,178. We want to table consideration on alternate number 1, maintenance building addition, and table consideration on bid alternate number 6, the paving of the parking lot, for your consideration at the next meeting. And the only reason we're doing that is because this is contingent on funding appropriations from City Council. There is the question of, do we want to fund a $300,000 project, or do we want to fund a $600,000 project to include the maintenance building and the parking lot? And that's the conversations that we still have to have with City Council as well. So,
Is this all, I mean, these are separate motions. You're going to separate out the lump sum and then need a motion for tabling each of those other items?
I think that would be appropriate. Would you agree, Rob?
So we would award a base bid,
Yeah.
and then we would table alternate 1, table alternate 6, right?
I think that's appropriate, yeah.
Is that appropriate?
And your recommendation again to the board, Kevin, is that Monroe Construction Group is the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder?
Correct, yeah, I think I said that at the beginning, but to say it again on the record, Monroe Construction is determined by staff, by our consultants to be the lowest, most responsible and responsive bidder.
Great. Okay, so at this time, I'd entertain a motion to award the base bid to Monroe Construction Group LLC for $327,178, and table alternate 1 and table alternate 6 for final approval for funds from the city council?
Correct. Subject to legal review.
Subject to
and,
legal,
and
subject to
mayor's
legal review
authorization.
and the mayor's approval.
I'm still confused. I'm willing to make, I'll make a motion that we approve or award the base bid to Monroe Construction Group LLC for the lump sum amount of $327,178, subject to legal review and the mayor's approval.
Right.
But I'm not including those the tabling things. I think those are separate motions.
I think that's fine to do it as two motions, Mr. Milburn, that's fine.
2 motions?
That would probably be cleaner and easier to understand going forward on what we did tonight.
Okay. Well, then I'd entertain a motion to award the base bid.
I've already done that. That's my
You
motion.
did that?
Yeah.
We need a second.
All right, we just need a
Is there a
second.
second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, then we want a second for the, to table alternate 1.
Well, I make a separate motion that we table alternate bid number 1, which was the maintenance building addition,
Okay,
is subject to further review, but that's separate from item of number 6. Just a separate motion for tabling that one particular item.
so you want 3 motions?
It's a motion to do that, to table it, to table alternate bid number 1.
Okay,
We can do that one.
about alternate 6.
Then one, you would like to do them in separate motions?
Yeah, I think they ought to be
That's fine.
separate.
All right, well, then I'd entertain a motion to table alternate 1.
I make a motion that we all,
Second?
we did.
Second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, now we want to do table alternate 6.
And I would move that we table bid alternate number 6
Okay,
for
second.
further review.
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So there's 3 motions.
Thank you all very much. Anything further from me?
Think so? Any other questions? Any question from the public? Okay, thank you, Kevin. Now we move on to new business, which is change order approvals for downtown change order 16 through 18.
I got 2 of them, but I didn't.
Thank you. Once again, these are change orders 16 through 17, or 16 through 18, excuse me, on the downtown streetscape and Big Four Trail construction contract. Change order number 16 is the payment, an incentive payment to the contractor. If you remember, the original contract had the ability for them to earn up to $200,000 in incentives for completing the project early. That project reached substantial completion on May 4th, and that was over 89 days ahead of their required completion date. That was the completion and opening of that first block of Main Street between 39 and West Street. But we had some delays on completing the first three phases, which were around the courthouse square. Those delays, after negotiation and consideration of weather and other factors outside of their control, other delays outside of their control, amounted in those three phases being 11 days behind schedule. So although they would be eligible for the full $200,000 bonus, we are subtracting from that bonus their penalties for late completion on the first three phases of 11 days at $5,000 a day, brings our total to the $145,000 that you see before you. Change order number 17. This change order picks up some miscellaneous work throughout the project. So there are 4 items in this change order that total a grand total of $5,183. One is some additional concrete pavement that was required to put in based on coordinations between phases there. We felt it was the most effective way to complete that, and this was associated with, on the edges of the project, as most people knew, throughout the downtown, underneath our pavement, we had a lot of old brick. Well, after seeing the state of the old brick, we made the decision that we couldn't just push stone and asphalt up against that old brick. It needed to be locked into place so that the edges of the old brick would not continue to move. So there was some additional concrete pavement there to the tune of $646. The Meridian Street parking bumpers, we had to do some rework on that, some rethinking from how the original contract specifications were worded there. Initially, they were just supposed to be set on the pavers and would just function by their own weight and holding them down. Well, that was quickly determined was not going to be feasible, and they moved quite easily as cars would back into them. So this is a change order for $1,703, 1703, that provided epoxy adhesive to the bottom of those bumpers to secure them into place. We originally, we could have done at no cost driven rebar through the holes that are created in the parking bumpers, but given the paver surface that we were dealing with, we felt that might cause more problems and damage to the pavers and future damage and future movement and settlement of those pavers. We wanted those to be secure, so that's where we opted for this epoxy adhesive. And it's worked well. It's been in place for several weeks now, and we haven't seen anything break loose there. It seemed to be holding really well. Then the next one is some additional drain tile that were unforeseen connecting the Huntington Bank that had to be extended and perpetuated to the storm sewer system. Again, we're dealing with, a 100-year-old city and old infrastructure, and we don't know everything that's in the ground. So this line is line 282 for $1,452. That's 1452 for the additional work, the additional time and materials work to connect that building. And then last but certainly not least, unknown utility excavations. We had a water crossing in the middle of the intersection of State Road 39 that had to be completely removed. We had found other savings elsewhere in the project that is realized through other change orders or a reduction in unit price billings, but this is for the removal of an old water cross that was in the middle of the intersection. So that was for $1,382. Again, change order 17 for a grand total of $5,183. Just cleaning up miscellaneous items as we've near the end of this project. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. Change order 18 is for the removal of the water cross.
Okay.
17 is the last item was not for removal of the water cross, but it was for additional water main between Lebanon Street and West Street, also associated with the Huntington Bank building. So, since I flubbed that a bit there, let me revisit that again. So you've got additional concrete pavement, line 279 for $646. Line 281, parking bumper reinstalled with epoxy cement of $1,703. Huntington Bank drain lines, $1,452. And then some unknown utility excavations associated with the water around Huntington Bank for $1,382, for a total of $5,183. Change order 17. Change order 18, as I had already described it, was for the removal of an old water cross in the middle of the intersection of Main and 39. And that total of 18 is $11,003. That's expensive work, very deep work in the middle of an intersection, and requires a lot of traffic control to make that happen. So, also work done after hours.
All right, Kevin, do you want a motion for each one of these, or do you want a motion for all three together?
I'm fine with all three together, but that's up to the board.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah, whatever the will of the board.
All right.
Yeah, let's put them
Well, then I'd make a motion that we approve change orders for the downtown change orders 16, 17, and 18.
I have a question before.
Okay?
On the change order 16, which was the, the incentive
Yes.
piece of this, are you satisfied and everyone is signed off that everything that's supposed to have been done has been done and it is the way it's supposed to be?
I mean, there are still things we are working on. There are punch list items we are still working on, but the incentive payments were tied to substantial completion and opening the road, not on final completion.
Okay.
And really around the square, that we are down to, I believe, one shrub and 2 trees that have to be replaced, and that's the end of our punch list work. So,
Okay, thank you.
So that's listed under your justifications? I see
yes.
that. Okay, then I'd entertain a motion that we approve, like I say, the change orders 16, 17, and 18 for the downtown.
I move that we approve the downtown change orders for numbers 16, 17, and 18.
Have a second?
I second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
And we move on to the claims. Has everyone had a chance to review the claims? I make a motion that do I have a motion to approve the claims?
I make a motion to approve the claims.
Second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries, claims are approved. The last item is for adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
A second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, we are adjourned. Redevelopment Commission will follow at 6:30, followed by the City Council at 7:15. Thank you.